Boston, say Columbus.
Columbus.
Sort of the same thing.
Yeah.
But Buckeyes, Buckeyes.
That's right. Hi, family. Joe S. Oh, I'll wait. What? Oh. Man, that looks like one of those vapors.
It'll hear you from right there.
I don't smoke them, but it looked like it.
It'll hear you from right there.
Joe S., Columbus, Ohio. Oh, I'm supposed to be at the Who concert tonight. What? Yeah. The Who in Columbus, Ohio. I bought these tickets, and I knew the convention. I didn't have it in my calendar. Bought the tickets, and I told Phil, I'm not coming. I said, he said, that's okay. You know, it's all right. And yesterday I sold the tickets. I got lucky and sold the tickets, and I'm down here, and I got to come see Phil. And me and Phil's been around. I drug him down here when I had, well, let's see, I had like 9 months, or maybe the next year. I don't remember, but we've been coming down for almost 19 years. And this is a spiritual convention. This is very spiritual. And we travel together, and we do these things together, and we're still clean, We keep coming back. We don't get fixed. We don't get cured. We don't get tired, because we love your faces. We love coming here. This is home. So, thank you. Thank you so much. You know what? If I would have just went to meetings and just went home, tried to do this program, just tried to do it, I wouldn't be here. Phil got me involved in sponsorship, in sponsorship, absolutely. The steps, he gave me 30 days to do the 4-step. He didn't give me any time because I'd screwed around it long enough, He was, he was one of, well, he still is. But I figure, when he had like 4 or 5 years and I had 9 months or a year, he was a spiritual guru, right? Guru Phil. And then one day, I saw his defects of character. And I said, oh, he's just human, thank goodness. Thank goodness, because he was like, it was hard to, even talk to him, because I was like, oh my gosh, how did this guy stay clean for 5 years, or, and we've been, we travel. Last year or the year before, we went to the World Convention, took him for this first time. That was awesome, and we go to Canada, and we go all over. We go down to Tar Hollow, and there's not a, Phil, is one of those old crackheads, and he couldn't stop using, just like me. I couldn't stop using, and he's going to give you that story. But, he has the smile, he has the personality, he is loving, caring, and open-minded. That's for sure. Putting up with me for 19 years, he's got definitely open-minded, But I love this man, and if you listen with your heart, you'll hear the message of recovery, because he lives it. He made me do service from the very beginning. Go to that area of service, and you'll learn how to fight, and then give them a hug. And I learned that. We were able to disagree and be pissy and then give you a hug and say, well, that's the way it is, So thank goodness for sponsorship and his compassion. And I told him, he said he was nervous. Yeah, I would be nervous too. There's a lot of people here. I said, just let God talk to you. You taught me that, right? Just let God talk through you. And then he can get out of the way. But I told him I'd talk for 20 minutes so he wouldn't have to speak as long. But I'm done. I'm going to give you a Phil T from Zanesville, Ohio.
what he said. I brought my paper. I wasn't nervous until everybody said, "Are you nervous?" I lied. I'm a person in long-term recovery, and recoveries have been able to transform my life into being a successful person today. And I owe all of that to Narcotics Anonymous. And with that, I'll be glad to tell you, hi, my name is Phil, and I am an addict. I want to thank the Mountaineer region for this opportunity to share my message. Am I in? Okay. Our book states, to broaden our base, to higher our point of freedom. I would like to thank Brandon for giving me that call back in February. I also want to thank Sharon for allowing me to annoy her. I mean, I was texting Sharon about it every other day. Sharon, you got a room, because I'm trying to get two of my home group members here, and thanks a lot. Also, I can never say enough. You know, and I was thinking about this. How many people have been here more than once? Cool. And the only reason we come back is because the Mountaineer Region Committee puts a lot of work out. Yeah. It's not what they did today, what they did 6 months ago, 10 years ago. They do something special here to make us want to come back to this beautiful place. Yeah. So Mountaineer Region Committee, thank you. There's a lot of people here. I want to just take a moment, and I think it's real important. To think about those who aren't here with us today that may have suffered, maybe not from our disease, because with recovery we learn how to live with this disease, and we may die from some other problems. And we have people who are having some physical problems today because we're able to stay clean and get old, you know. So please, let's just for a moment think of somebody we know who's not with us today. Thank you. I also want to ask you guys to think of them for together, collectively, just in your thoughts, a moment of silence for that person who's never heard of Narcotics Anonymous, for that person that hasn't found out there is a solution, and we do recover. My home group is called We Do Recover, and we do recover. We meet on Tuesday night at 8 o'clock. We meet on Thursday night at 7 o'clock. We meet Saturday night at 8 o'clock. So if you're ever in Zanesville, Ohio, and you're looking for a good meeting, we're looking for you. So stop on by. My clean time date, I've been clean since July 1st of 1990. I should say thank you, because you made it happen. But I can say today that I can finally say today, I've been clean longer than I used. I used for a long, long time. Wait a minute, I'm nervous. You know, and recovery's been really, really good for me. And Joe shared a lot of the things that we've done in recovery together. And you guys, you know, we all got stories about how well recovery has been to us. But for me, one of the main things I never want to forget is those last 24 hours that brought me here. you know. I never want to forget. I have not forgotten that feeling. You know, and I want to start trying to share my story with you. But I have to express my gratitude to this fellowship, to this committee, and to Ripley, okay? And before I share my story, I'm going to show you how powerless you are. I love you, and you can't do nothing about it. I started using, I'm going to say about when I was 18 years old, just after I got kicked out of high school. Me and today she's my wife, but we got pregnant, and I had to leave school because of the pregnancy. And prior to me leaving school, I was always an athlete, so I was always being coached and disciplined, and I had all of these people keeping me in line. And once I left school, I didn't have that discipline. You know, and I think a lot of people may have part of that in their story, where once the discipline left, we started making bad choices, you know. So I started working and got with a couple guys. These guys were really attractive to me. You know, they were cool, they were slick, they dressed real well. I'm talking about on the job. I worked in a factory. And these guys were always, they had it together. You know, and every day they would go out and get high. I said, I want to do that, you know. And I started hanging with these guys, and every day we would go out and get high. You know, and after a few years, I just made it a vow, I'm going to get high for the rest of my life. You know, and you guys would be proud of me. I mean, real proud. I would never let you down about that, you know. And because that was my vow, I had to put some other things in place. You know, one of those things is and the other thing is, I'm breaking off a little bit, but I got divorced, you know, so I had to start paying child support. So a lot of times when I'm looking back and reflecting back on my recovery, I have to talk about them broken relationships. I couldn't have a long-lasting relationships with this active disease of addiction, you know. So one of the things for me to continue to use, always pay your child support. So if I got pulled over, they wouldn't take me to jail. So I can say I used for over 24 years, and it was uninterrupted. I used every day. I lived to use and used to live. There was no go do some time in jail. I was never put in time out. No, I was out there, okay? The shop I worked at, I would never have to leave the shop to get high. I could order a pound of weed or order cocaine, order whatever you want. I could buy real estate in this shop, okay? They sold jewelry. They sold everything in this shop. And so a lot of the stuff was legitimate, you know. So I was in an environment that I didn't have to take risk. I didn't have to go into dope houses. Everything was brought to me, whatever I want. And so if I could sell you a couple, order you a couple, order you a couple, and everything's packaged up just the way I asked for it, you know. So a lot of times I never touched drugs. I just passed it on, made a couple bucks, and kept getting high. And I did this for a long, long time. You know, and I came up with other strategies to make money, okay? I made a lot of money selling proof of insurance, running the numbers. All of this is in the shop. You know, bowling leagues. We had bowling leagues where no one could bowl, so I ran the 6-in-a-row jackpot, so I always had money. And I was so successful in my addiction, I was voted president of the credit union. The first action we did when I got put in the president of the credit union was raise the overdraft from $50 to $500. You know, so this is how, you know, I learned ways and means, and I had everything fixed in place. So I used, and I could use and use, but then there was just one day, and I'm kind of jumping around, but that you can see where I like to get So So I got married, got divorced, stayed single for 6 or 7 years, and got married again, and 3 years later got divorced. I was riding motorcycles, and a lot of times when I didn't have that money because I'm paying child support, the best way to live cheap is ride a motorcycle and go to these motorcycle clubs, and beer was 50 cents or a quarter. It was real affordable, and I could just, a lot of times I could just stay there and sleep at the clubhouses or whatever, so this was exciting, everything kind of just worked out well for me, except for my using and my relationships kept breaking up, So I shifted from the motorcycles and I started bowling. I was bowling 7 days a week. I'm working 12-hour shifts and bowling after the 12-hour shift. And sometimes I was bowling in 2 leagues because that's a way to make money. You have jackpots and all these different other ways. But I learned a way to make money bowling, So in 1982, I'm trying to pull this using part together. And in 1982, my first wife walked in the bowling alley and said she needed my help, and she was the love of my life. This first wife of mine, we met when we were 14 years old. So this was my childhood sweetheart. So when I got this divorce, it was something that was still missing out of my life, and then the miracle happened and she came back in, and so now, God's answered my prayers, But there's this little dope fiend that was still wrecking everything, And so around 1980, I think it was 1984, I figured I needed to do something about my problem. So I went to this walk-in treatment center and figured I got real smart. If I take this pill called Antabuse, I can make it, And so here's what they said. They said, stay clean for 2 weeks and produce a clean urine, and they would prescribe the Antabuse. I was able to stay clean for 2 weeks to get the Antabuse. 6 months later, I'm abusing the Antabuse. Okay, I'm taking it with beer, and because I'm this dope fiend, I'm still going to find ways and means to get high. So I went on and on. So later on, I get introduced to this real popular drug. Probably most of you never did any of this, but it's called crack cocaine. And when I say crack cocaine, that's the end of my story. They don't say, and then what did you use? Up until crack cocaine, I can say I did hash, mescaline, liquid Kool-Aid, and, alcohol, drugs, hash, you name it, I did it. But when it got to the crack cocaine, that was the end of the story. There wasn't, and what else, So I'm falling in love with crack cocaine. And because I'm falling in love with crack cocaine, you can't order that in the shop. Well, you can, but you can't reorder. And you just can't. People just don't deliver like that, So now I have to go out of my environment, which is a shop, and start going into some unfamiliar areas, which is in the dope houses and the smoke houses, and this is something that I'm not familiar with. I'm slick, hip, and cool. When I started smoking crack cocaine, there ain't no slick, hip, and cool. You take slick and you pull the L out of it, and you got sick. That was me, And I'm seeing right before me that I'm about ready to lose everything. Because don't forget, I still got this woman in my life that I love, and I don't want to lose her. Okay? So, you guys understand what I'm doing now? Yeah. Okay. So now here it is, 1988. And because I'm always in control of everything. I heard somebody that went to a 12-step program. Well, let me say this one story. I had a guy that was in my shop that I worked with, and for some reason, I missed him for 9 months. After about 3 months, I recognized he wasn't there. So I just assumed he got fired or whatever. Then a few months later, he comes back. I says, well, where'd you go? He was at Father Martin's farm. Okay. He was there for 9 months. Now here's the hit. Don't forget it's all about the money. They gave him 9 months sick pay when he got back. So what do you think I'm thinking? Okay. I got my Go card. At any given time, I can just say, I'm going in the hospital because they're going to pay me. So I always had that ready. So don't forget, I'm committed to these bowling leagues. I'm also the shop steward at the shop I work at. I'm one of the I was one of the chief bargainers. So prior to me coming up with this idea, I'm trying to save this guy's job. He's been fired for drinking 3 times. He's got over 30 years seniority, and the company's not going to let him come back. It's cut, done deal. So what we're arguing for is at least bring him back so he can get his benefits, so he can have his quality of life. And so now we're on the 5th. They're listening. Now everything hinges on what this guy says. So we kind of coach him and everything. And so when the guy comes in front of the company, they said, how do we know that you're not going to drink anymore? And he said, and it's this noble thing, he says, I'm 60 years old, and I want to finish my last 20 years like I started my first 20 years. I said, wow. I'm like 38, 36 years old. I said, when I turn 40, I'm quitting. So today, I'm approaching 40. I got this commitment to the bowling leagues. I'm bowling in about 4 or 5 different leagues. I'm a part of a team, and everybody's dependent on each other. I got to tell these guys I'm not coming back. Like the season, bowling goes from, I'm going to say from September to May. And some leagues start from August to whatever. I can't remember. It's a long time ago. But it's usually from September to May. So after we finish this league, I got to quit because I'm almost 40 years old, okay? So here it is. You guys got that part. I'm ready to quit because I'm in control, okay? I'm a union rep who has a term. Like I got to be in there like 3 years or whatever. I couldn't finish that term out because it messed it up. So I'm going to go in for treatment and still be one of the union reps, but I got to let go of that commitment of the bowling. So that's my plan. I got it. Well, it didn't happen in June. It didn't happen in July. It didn't happen in August. And here it is, September. And it's almost time to start bowling again. So my wife had the company she worked for had this a recognition benefit where we go celebrate whatever the company's is. It's free food. It's a banquet, all you can drink, open bar, and I made it a practice. Anytime I had to do anything with my wife, I never wanted to be an embarrassment to her. So I stayed clean that day. I didn't use. So we go to this function, this party, this banquet, and we're sitting with all her friends. These are her friends, and we're getting along real good, socializing and stuff. I'm watching my P's and Q's and everything, and everything's going smooth. Then around 9:30, my wife says, we can leave now. Let's go. And this thing goes to 2 o'clock in the morning. So after doing step work and reflecting back on my life, This is where you understand how the disease of addiction is a communicable disease. Now, my wife doesn't use, but she knew for this addict, I couldn't go much longer without getting something in me. Her biological clock says, we got to leave. It wasn't like I was making eyes or doing something to create some kind of commotion so I can get out. She just knew it's time, you know. So we leave, we get home, and one of my standby words is, I'll be right back, I got to get some gas, get ready for work in the morning. I get out there, and it's raining, lightning, thunder, and lightning. So I'm going to go to the gas station to put $2 in the tank, because I need the rest for cop money, and lock the keys in my car. So I have to call back home for my stepmother who lived downstairs. We lived in a duplex. She came out, gave me the keys to get in my car. I'll catch up with you later. I'll just go on. I'll be there in a few minutes. And this is my last run, you know. So I'm out on this run. And don't forget, I got the bowling money and whatever kind of money I had. I blew it up. About 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm calling my father. And this isn't unusual for me to call my father, see if I can get a couple $100 from him to keep on using. And he always gave it to me because I always paid it back. I was very accountable, you know, and reliable. At least I want to give that make people think I'm accountable and reliable. So I get the $200 and smoke that up. Now it's 4:30 in the morning. I'm down to my last $50. So I go out, and what I usually do, because remember, I'm not used to doing these dope houses and stuff, I have to find a runner. So a lot of people who don't smoke dope probably don't know nothing about a runner, but there's these guys. They stand out close by, and they'll do you a favor, you know. So I sent out a runner to bring back the dope. And I'm laying in the front seat of my car. So I'm in a high crime neighborhood. You know, the police are running through there, undercover, all this stuff is going on. So I have to lay in the front seat of my car with the windows up, no radio, no smoking cigarettes. It's hot as hell. My body temperature is on fire. You know, I've been out all night. And I got to button this bad boy up. And it's not the first time I did that. So I'm laying in the front seat of my car. And, you know, the paranoia, the anxiety, all of this stuff is going through me right now. Is this guy going to bring back my dope? You know. Well, one of the things that happened when I'm laying in the front seat of the car, and we've probably heard this said in some meeting somewhere, but we start these meetings with a moment of silence. And we say, can we have a moment of silence for the addict who still suffers inside and outside of these rooms? So September the 20th, 1988, at 4:30 in the morning, that prayer, that silent prayer, which we don't know what the words are, hit my spirit. That moment of clarity touched my spirit. You know what I'm saying? This is it. So I waited for the runner to come back, and I ended up smoking the rest of the dope, and I'm going to say about 6:30, 7 o'clock, I'm driving back to that same walk-in treatment center and sitting there until they open up the doors. And I'm trying to figure out, because I don't remember, I guess they open up at 9 o'clock, 8:30 or something like that. So I'm going to say I sat there for over an hour and a half. And this drug that I use doesn't allow you to sit still that long. That's a miracle. So the moment, the silent prayer, the moment of silence, I want to say I was prayed into this fellowship. And through their prayers, I'm standing in front of you. My higher power, and don't forget, I haven't worked no first step. My higher power was caring for me when I sat in that car. waiting for them to open the doors. My paranoid thinking knows that when I walk in there, they're going to say, wait 2 weeks and then come back and we'll give you something. I ain't got 2 weeks in me. I'm just using addict. I'm a desperate using addict. So when I walked in there, they said, how can I help you? I said, you guys are going to have to lock me up because I can't stop using. And so this counselor says, I can't lock you up. He says, but here's a phone number. You can get yourself some treatment. And that's what I did. I called up this place and went to a hospital in Detroit, Michigan. I think it's called Riverside Hospital. And I got clean. The miracle happened. And part of that miracle, I forgot this little piece. I don't know how many addicts ever said they're going to stop using and then change their mind. So when my buddy is taking me to the hospital, I still got the stem in my hand. My stem, most people, the stems are about, I'm going to say, when I say 6 to 8 inches long, my stem is about a 1/4 inch long now. The inside of my lip was like chopped liver. So when they put that white wristband around my wrist, the next thing happened, I started feeling safe. So the next receptacle I went to, I threw that stem away and got me some recovery. Everything went great in recovery. I get out and I stay clean. And then 30 days later, 60 days later, I relapse. And so I know what's wrong. I'm not going to enough meetings. Oh, when I got clean, there was no NA meetings. I didn't know there was NA. Okay. 6 months later, they had NA meetings at this facility, but they would only allow so many people from the outside in. And you had to sign something to get in, like a week ahead of time to get in. That ain't going to happen. So I'm going from 2 meetings to 4 meetings. I stay clean 60 days, relapse. Not going to enough meetings. I finally made it to an NA meeting. They said 90 meetings in 90 days. Wow, that's an idea. I'm going to do it. I made 90 meetings in 90 days and didn't use. I can do this again, can't I? So I relapse, I can keep going over and over. You know what I did? I just kept relapsing. It took me over 1,000 days to get 1 year clean. Part of that miracle that happened was they were going through the plant closings at that time. And so the shop I worked in was closing, and we were relocating from the great state of Michigan down to Ohio, So so I'm the first one to sign up to be relocated, and I get down there. Well, before I get down there, I call up to find out where the meeting is. First thing to do, call me and find out where the meeting is. So I call 1-800, find out where the meeting is. They say the meeting's on 4th Street. Okay. You enter through the alley. There'll be a light on over the door. That sounds like damn dope house, So anyway, I go to this meeting. When I got there, I went to this meeting, and when I opened up the door, they welcomed me like they knew me all their life. And that's one of the reasons I'm here today, because I was welcomed. Somebody extended their hand out to me, and that's what I try to do every day, is try to help another addict. So I started going to that meeting, and my life is getting better. I'm not thinking about using. The miracle is happening. About 30 days later, them feelings start coming back. I want to use. And so I bring it up in the meeting. I made that a topic. I called it triggers. And after the meeting, these two nice ladies came up to me and they says, you know there's an NA meeting over such and such place, but I didn't know they had an NA meeting in this town. We only had one meeting a week in Zanesville, Ohio, back in 1990. Shortly after that, we went to 2 meetings. So I started going to NA meetings and started getting what I needed. Shortly after that, I met a man that walked in the rooms and talked the NA language like he had been around forever. When I met man, I asked him to be my sponsor. And this fella sponsored for almost 20 years. He went back out, but he's back. You know, and I'm really grateful that he's back into my life. So me and this guy, we started getting real close, and we wanted to make our NA meetings like all other NA meetings, because we were closing with the Lord's Prayer and some other unorthodox things. And as we started going to meetings and being part of this fellowship, we started taking the shape of Narcotics Anonymous. You know, we started doing activities, and I was sharing the other night, we put on our first camp out, and it was in our city, and we gave out these shaving kits. You know, for registration, if you registered, we give you a shaving kit, the little, you know, travel shaving kits. You know, so everybody had these shaving kits. And we're thinking, we got it going on. We're doing all this stuff right. A lot of kids are playing, and, you know, a whole diverse group, you know. That Sunday morning, me and my buddy, my sponsor, we're walking around the creek. This creek is full of shaving cream. These badass kids fill the damn creek with shaving cream. So we're trying to figure out a way to get this shaving cream out. Well, it was a thunderstorm, and so the rain helped. But we were down in this valley, and we had to push each other out of the valley to get, because of mud, it was just mud. And that was one of those things I'll never forget. I hope to me that meant a lot. You hearing it might not mean a lot, but it takes me back to one of those things we did, you know, the we part of the program, the core group, just like the Mountaineer region. You have this core group of people that always pull this stuff off. And I have so much passion when I see a core group of people, because I remember what my core group looked like. So recovery's been good. You know, I held different service positions. Coming out to Ripley I can talk about that in another way. I'll tell you this one thing. We were in the chapel. This is when Joe first brought me out here. I can't remember the year either, but it was the first time that whole lodge opened up. You know, so whatever year the whole 96, the spring of 96, we came out here. So we've been coming out since 1996. We went to this chapel, and we go to meditation, and it's dark in there. Okay, a bunch of us get together at the meditation, and so as we meditate, the sun is coming up, and there's these beautiful stained glass windows in the chapel. And as I'm meditating, remember I'm early in recovery, not new, but early in recovery. I haven't seen too many miracles that I can really talk about, but watching those stained glass windows go from dark to putting some life colors was what I got through my meditation. Like, I'm just watching these colors take over these stained glass windows. You know, my recovery has been really, really good. And Ripley is a big part of it. I mean, it's a major part of it. I use Ripley as my barometer from 6 months. What's my goal going to be from the spring Ripley to the fall Ripley? Today, I'm getting ready to wrap it up. Today, I want to talk about what I'm doing today. I'm a caregiver. I take care of my father-in-law. And I really help my wife. She takes care of my father-in-law. I help the caregiver. Okay? And one of my biggest jobs is I have to bathe my father-in-law. Now, my father-in-law and my father both had great work ethics. They were all about working and all about taking care of their family. So it's an honor for me to take care of my father-in-law because I've seen what he did taking care of his children, you know. So this is like there's some spirituality stuff going on when I'm bathing my father-in-law because it's something I really don't want to do. But I really, really have so much respect for him, and I'm always trying to give him his dignity when I'm bathing this man and treating him like he's a prince, okay? And it's just there's more to it. I just can't put it in words, the love that I have. Not so much for my father-in-law, which I do, but being a caregiver, have some awareness of what his needs are. He's dealing with some dementia. So a lot of times he don't know. It could be, what's that called, Groundhog Day. You know, every day with him. But we still try to make it interesting and exciting. The other thing I'm doing is I'm doing the peer support, recovery coaching. Recovery is possible today. Recovery is cool. There's a lot of statistics. A lot of people take statistics of, you know, the failures or the successes of recovery. But most of the time, those statistics only go for a couple of years of clean time. Well, I want to tell you today, there's over 24 million people in recovery with long-term clean time. A lot of successful people, you know, they'll track somebody maybe for the first 2 years, but after that they don't watch them no more and watch all the miracles that are happening in their lives. Today, it's my opinion. I get to share my opinion. I believe that we are the largest voting bloc in the United States. We don't even know it, but we are. And one of the things, we got to get our voices out there and let people know recovery is cool, and we need to start treating our addicts, our suffering addicts, with dignity when they walk into a hospital. And sometimes that has to take a vote, or letting your representatives in your local counties know that we count and we're watching them. I would like to say, if anyone has suffered as I once did, make a commitment to this program, and it'll transform your life into being a productive member of society. I'm Phil, I'm an addict. Thank you. I love you.